Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. We are back again, and today we have our very first gubernatorial prediction for 2026. It's too early, and really, we are really mainly focused on the gubernatorial races in Virginia and New Jersey that will be next year in 2025, which is 3 days away, believe it or not, till the new year. But just our 2024 prediction of a said gubernatorial set of races that are in the midterms. A lot of Republicans are saying, great, we have a mandate here. We got the Senate, we got the House of Representatives, we got the presidency, but we need to keep our power, right? We need to keep that mandate in check. And Republicans, they have this, they're kind of nervous. They're saying, okay, we had that mandate in 2016, but that mandate slowly simmered away in 2017. We lost Virginia, New Jersey. We lost the midterms in 2018. We lost Kentucky in 2019, and then we lost in 2020. And a lot of Republicans are kind of nervous. Okay, is this going to be a repeat of what happened in those years? And it's looking like we have a better chance than those years here. We have Winsome Shears in Virginia. She has a better chance at winning, in my opinion. Because and then again, she has an approval rating. She's going against a congresswoman, so that's going to be kind of challenging. But I think she has more recognition compared to Abigail Spangler, or whatever her name is. But we're not looking at those races today. We're mainly looking at the governor's races in our said United States Senate prediction. Anyway, let's go ahead and begin. Starting off with the said 6 p.m. poll closing times. Indiana and Kentucky. Guess what? Indiana and Kentucky, those states are not contested in the said gubernatorial races this year in 2026. But ultimately, 7 p.m. we'll officially say that Vermont will continue to stay with the Republicans, and it does depend. If Phil Scott runs again, he will win Vermont easily, ultimately. But if he doesn't, it goes solid blue. It's going to be a flip for Democrats, and it really does depend. This would be his 6th term, his 6th time running, and he's getting up there into those amount of times, and each time the likelihood of him running again is getting dimmer and dimmer. So I would not be surprised if he said, I'm not running for re-election. Just go in and expect it. And yes, this is going to be a solid game for Democrats, but as of right now, we have no indications on if Mr. Governor Scott will not run. But ultimately, he wins Vermont easily. So, yes, Vermont, that's one pickup game for Republicans here. Okay, so Vermont, Georgia, and South Carolina and Florida have closed their polls. And actually, Florida has closed their polls. And really, we have no indications on whether Ron DeSantis, he can't run again. We have mainly publicly expressed Matt Gaetz, Byron Donalds, and Ashton Hayward. They have, of course, expressed their interest. In Georgia, it's too close to call. Chris Carr, the incumbent Georgia Attorney General, is leading. He's kind of favored to win this, all said and done. South Carolina, we can call South Carolina. South Carolina is in favor for Republicans, whoever that Republican. Henry McMaster is term limited, and that new governor is likely publicly expressed. I would say in this case, maybe Ralph Norman would be the better presumptive governor in this case, in our prediction. All right. By this time, Ohio has already closed their polls at 7:30 p.m. West Virginia, North Carolina, they're not contested this time around. Ohio is, we could make a call in Ohio compared to 2022. We've seen a huge, as you know, Mike DeWine, very popular governor in Ohio. He cannot run again. Ultimately, we've have Dave Yost, who is the incumbent attorney general of course, Ohio. And it really does depend on his electoral history, his ability to win in the state. Yeah, I would say he does somewhat of a good job there. So we'll go ahead and call Ohio for the said Republican there. We'll also make a call and project that the Republican will win in Florida, whether that be Matt Gaetz or Byron Donalds. The Republican there will win. Okay, now it's 8 o'clock p.m. We have poll closing times, and we are ready to make some projections. We can project that Kelly Ayotte will win re-election in New Hampshire. In Massachusetts, no surprise, Governor Haley is the winner. Rhode Island, I want to believe, Dan McKee will win. Connecticut, Ned Lamont, he cannot, can he run for governor? He is eligible for re-election, and maybe he won't run for re-election or something like that. Too close to call. We cannot call Connecticut quite yet. Westmore, winner in Maryland. We can make a projection as of right now. I would say Pennsylvania is in great interests and likelihoods of going to the said Governor Josh Shapiro. He is likely to win re-election. Very popular governor. As of right now, too close to call. Okay, so we can now project in Alabama. Republicans will win there. Tennessee, Republicans win. Okay, this is what we're looking at right now. Oklahoma, Republicans will win there. Kansas is too close to call. That is a seat that Republicans are trying to flip. That's held by incumbent Democrat Governor Laura Kelly. And the likelihood, it's a possibility that Republicans can win. And the concerns that Republicans have in this state is if the lieutenant governor, who is kind of popular in that state, runs. And I have a feeling that Republicans can do some magic there and flip it, even with him in there. So I do think that is the case. Texas, it does depend. I do not think, Governor Greg Abbott is not. There's no term limits in Texas, but ultimately, if he would run again, he would also tie with former South Dakota Governor Bill Janklaw as the fifth longest serving governor in U.S. history. That would be a big accomplishment there, but. We are considering, I would say, too close to call right now. Texas, too close. Okay. 8:30 p.m., we can project Arkansas. That is Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She wins re-election. Illinois. Now, this is a difficult one because Pritzker is Pritzker running for re-election? He is eligible to do so, but he is kind of unpopular. But I would say Pritzker would win. We'll go ahead and project Pritzker the winner. There, we can go ahead and project Ned Lamont or whoever runs. He will be the winner in the state of Connecticut. Excuse me. We can also make a projection in Pennsylvania. Josh Shapiro will win in the state of Pennsylvania, a state that Republicans won, but Shapiro, a very popular Democrat governor, he will carry that state. Okay, so this is what we're looking at right now. 9 seats for Republicans, 6 seats for Democrats. Republicans likely to pick up the majority. I mean, all of these, looking at all these states, are mostly red states. Then again, there's just no popularity contest. It's not like, you win the majority, and it's not really guaranteed. Like, there's no governor majority leader or something like that, no mythical something. So it's kind of interesting. But ultimately, this is what our map is looking like right now. But let's take a look at the 9 p.m. closing times. Maine is still too close to call from the 8 o'clock hour. New York, too close to call. That is a race that Republicans could. I'm not saying they can't, but the likelihood is kind of better than 2022, actually. Kathy Hochul has declared her run for the Democratic primary, but ultimately, she might get some opponents like Richie Torres and Jamal Bowman that have publicly expressed their contingencies for the governorship, but I don't think Jamal Bowman would get that far. Maybe Richie Torres, but ultimately, this race, if even Hochul wins that nomination, it's just too close to call. Michigan, too close to call, like I've established already. New governor, by the way. Whitmer cannot run again. Wisconsin and Minnesota. Minnesota's too close. Iowa, we can already make the assumptions that that new governor, whoever that may be, she is the potential governor. There's no term limits in Iowa. But let's go ahead and say a Republican will win there. Kansas, we can project Republicans have flipped that state. It's the first flip of the night. Republicans have flipped the state. It's establishing a good night so far in the said Republican, in the gubernatorial races. Republicans kind of walked in to expect that Pennsylvania is not a battleground in the gubernatorial races, seeing how popular Shapiro really is. Nebraska and South Dakota, Republican states. They are going Republican there. And we can make a projection in the state of Wyoming. No surprise, Republicans win. In Colorado, the Democrat, Governor Jared Polis cannot run again. Christina Duran, who is the former speaker of the Colorado House of Representatives, is likely out of the most to run. And the state of New Mexico, Republicans are saying, Republicans can make some gains there, seeing how close it was in 2024. But we already got Deb Haaland, who is the U.S. Secretary of the Interior. She is the potential nominee. Republicans don't really have much options. We are thinking about calling it for her, but we're going to wait right now. Arizona's too close to call. It's a competitive race so far. But this is what it's looking like right now. Let's go ahead and call Texas. The Republican will win Texas in the said state here. The 10 p.m. closing times. Nevada, and that's just Nevada. It's just Nevada. And that's where Joe Lombardo, who's gotten pretty popular, he's looking to keep his seat. And I would imagine that he would. I don't think there would be any reason why he would not, that he would fail to not win his seat. Well, we can establish that the Democrat in New Mexico will win her seat, as we are looking at the United States Secretary, the Interior Secretary. The governor in Maine will remain blue. New governor, by the way, Janet Mills cannot run again. Kenneth Forrest Peanut has filed paperwork, and who knows who this guy is. You got Robert Wessels. So I guess these two characters are likely not to be the nominees. They're really irrelevant individuals, but as of right now, this is what it's looking like. New York is still too close to call. Georgia, Republicans win in Georgia. In Minnesota, we can project that Peggy Flanagan will become the very first female governor of Minnesota and the very first Native American governor of Minnesota, as much as we demise it. Tim Walz has not said he would run, but what the likelihood is there has been, in over 100 years, a Minnesota governor has not run for a third term, and it looks like Wallace will keep that president. Not to mention, he is very unpopular, and Flanagan was already going into this thinking that she was going to be the successor because she actually thought that Kamala was going to be the president. So I would think Flanagan would be that nominee. So, yeah, she wins in Minnesota, beating whatever that Republican nominee is. Wisconsin, too close to call. Michigan, too close to call. Arizona, too close to call. Okay, we are ready to project the 11 p.m. closing times. California and Oregon. Well, actually, no, Oregon. We'll wait on Oregon. Because of that race was a little too close. We'll see if that incumbent governor has what it takes. But Tina Kotek. But we can officially call California. Whoever that new governor, if it was, what if it's Kamala Harris or something like that? You got already a lot of Democrats in this race. But you got Kamala Harris as a potential, but she has not, of course, stated if she wants to or not. Idaho. Going in for Republicans, no surprise. We can project that Hochul will survive in New York. That New York City is going to give her what she needs to win. But boy, she has underperformed her 2022 record and an embarrassment to her party. She will win by less than 4 points. We can now project that Joe Lombardo will win re-election pretty easily. And in Oregon, Governor Kotek will win in the state of Oregon. All right. Now we have our states that are just too close to call. Well, we can call Hawaii at this time. Hawaii projected. The Democrat there will win. It's 12 p.m. I am unsure. Yeah. Governor Dunleavy cannot run for re-election. Although he was a very popular governor there. Guy who kept Alaska red. But ultimately, too close to call. Wisconsin and Michigan. Yeah, Michigan, we'll have to really go ahead and see who's running there. I think we can make a projection in Arizona. And that is Katie Hobbs will lose her seat to the Republican. Katie Hobbs, she is kind of Karine Robson, or whoever's going to challenge her, I would think, would have a better time taking her out. Well, hang on. We might recall Hobbs real quick. Katie Hobbs approval rating 2024. I want to see low favorability. Okay, yeah, Republicans do have a chance in taking out. Yeah, she has a low approval. So I would say, yes, Republicans will win in Arizona. That's a pickup. And Wisconsin. Republicans will pick that seat up. They had failed in 2022 after thinking they could. But I want to believe Evers, if he runs or not. It really does depend. I mean, his successor, Scott Walker, ran for a third term. Was it successful? Not really. So Wisconsinites might want to put a limit there. But ultimately, Tom Tiffany would be the best guy to run for this seat. But ultimately, he would be an outstanding guy coming from that 7th district area. Michigan. Now, actually, let's wait for Michigan. Alaska. Alaska will be called. Republicans will win there. And now we can make the closest race of the night. That's Michigan. And Michigan, it's kind of difficult. You got a Jocelyn Benson. You got a Pete Buttigieg in there. These are people that publicly expressed running. You got the former Attorney General, Mike Cox. And you also got a big Democrat record of seats here. 53%, 54%. Okay, 2014, this was the last time a Republican won in the state of Michigan. So, in my view, it is very hard to actually see the Democrat succeed in this. The Republicans succeed in this. And then if you get Tudor Dixon in there, who was absolutely horrible, by the way, with her performance, I think that Republicans will likely have a much harder time winning in Michigan. Although you do have, of course, a split ticket in the said party there. You got Mike Duggan, the mayor of Detroit. He has, to a point, he can take some votes away, but until we get some numbers, as of right now, thinking that Jocelyn Benson has the better chance of winning, we're going to go ahead and call it for her. Michigan will go and remain blue. So this is pretty much our first gubernatorial prediction. The good news is Democrats didn't get any pickups, and in reality, what else is there to pick up other than Nevada and maybe Vermont? I mean, Vermont, they would have a better chance of winning there if Scott doesn't run. That would be an inevitable pickup, but that wouldn't deliver any morale, because just like Jim Justice, when Manchin didn't run in 2024, Democrats knew very well that they weren't going to win that seat. They pretty much gave that seat up, and no funding for that seat whatsoever. They didn't stand a chance there. And I think that's going to be the same thing. If Scott does not run in Vermont, it's going to be an inevitable pickup. And they can brag, yay, we won Vermont. Well, yeah, it's a solid blue state. It's a state that voted for Kamala Harris the most. Same deal with Joe Biden. You would win there regardless. So I guess whatever floats your boat. But anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below. And as always, I will see you all in the next political episode.